Okay, it is 4 o'clock, and we'd like to welcome all of you that are attending this afternoon, as well as those that are joining us via YouTube for our chat with the City Manager, Armando Villa. We're excited to have you here today. Joining Armando will be our Financial Services Manager, Margarita Cornejo, and Wendy Priest, our Deputy Director of Finance. So we're thrilled to have you. We're going to be taking a look at the budget process and Menifee Open today. So should be an interesting topic. And once the presentation is over today, we will have time for question and answer. So certainly save your questions. We'll also be accepting questions from members of the public that are joining us via YouTube. You can comment on our comment channel, so please avail yourself of that opportunity. Before I turn the time over to Armando, I'd like just to take a minute to introduce our executive team. So we're going to start with the top with our new Director of Finance, Regina Funderburk. Welcome, Regina. We're glad to have you as part of our team. We have Stephanie Rosine as our Deputy City Clerk joining us today. And we have Jonathan Nix with us. He's our Community Services Director. And we have Cheryl Kitzero. She's our Director of Community Development. And Gina Gonzalez, Director of Economic Development. Nick Fiddler, our Director of Public Works. We have Ron Puccinelli. He's our Director of Information Technology. He's away at the moment, but may be joining us, so wanted you to be aware of him when he comes in. And then Pat Walsh is our Chief of Police. Also joining us, we have Lonnie Olson, who's the Division Fire Chief. So glad to have him here today. And I would be remiss if we didn't take a moment to acknowledge the staff that make today possible. We have our staff in the back of the room with Mandy Stevens and Brianna Barunda, as well as our chief, a public information officer, Phil Southard, who's here with us today, along with a number of other staff members. So they will be here to answer questions. Also like to take a moment to acknowledge our IT team that work very hard to make these events possible. So with that, I would like to turn the time over to Armando, and we'll get started.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. Can you all hear me? Thank you, Rebecca, again, and I want to remind everyone that the chats with the city manager are intended to, make sure that we bring, we are closer to you and we are more responsive to you, to your needs. Obviously, you saw that we have it fell down, presentation. Most of the department directors are here to answer any questions you may have, and as always, we try to have themes for you to make the meetings exciting. The theme of today is the budget process. I think it's one of the most fundamental, one of the most important things that we do here at City Hall is to develop a budget every year. And it may seem that it's easy to do, but it's extremely complicated. It's complex to do that. We take probably about 3 months to work on all the details that it takes to be able to formulate a citywide budget. Our city, as you know, continues to grow, and there's a need for more services that are needed. So we're going to try to spend a little bit of time explaining to you all what is it that it's involved in the budget process. The players, what are some of the basic services that we offer to our residents and some of the services that we contract for, and what goes into the mix, the number of times that we have to meet to be able to get the budget approved by the city council. And then this year, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do two things. One is to get the public to be more involved in the budget process by letting us know early in the process what is needed out there. We spend a lot of time here at City Hall assessing services based on service demands, service records, people calling us, streets and things like that, and we put together plans. But every year things are very fluid and dynamic, and we want to know what is missing out there that we should be providing better, so that we can put a dollar figure to it and then put a budget together so we can go fix it. So that's what the primary intent of these meetings is, to be able to get you to tell us what is needed out there, also to make you a little more aware of what the budget process looks like, and then ultimately to be able to give you a way for you to look up how much money we spend on certain things, certain services, and you're going to be able to get a taste of OpenGov. So, and again, the meeting today is not all about budget. I'd like to continue to open up the discussion to other issues that you may have. I don't want you to wait till next month to bring things up. We have all of our staff here ready to answer any questions you may have, primarily about the budget, but other things that may come up. As you know, we continue to work really hard on infrastructure and having to deal with issues of growth and traffic. So I'm pretty sure that most of you will have questions about that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Margarita Cornejo. She is going to take us through the budget process. It's a very, very complicated process, but we're gonna try to make sure that we explain it in a way that makes sense to a lot of us. So without further ado, Margarita, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Again, my name is Margarita. I work in the finance department. Thank you so much for making the time to join us this Thursday afternoon. The topic of today's chat is the budget process as a whole. And, you know, if there's one thing we want anybody who has joined us here today or is joining us online to leave with, is that the message the city wants our residents and our community to know is that our budget process for us really is meant to be an engaged and participatory process. We have a number of workshops that are set and built into our budget process every year, and we have a handout that we will be distributing as well as posting on our website for anybody who may be interested in looking at specifically this upcoming year's budget cycles components, including our CIP program and our operating budget, and ultimately our budget adoption, which will be presented on June 1st for council adoption. So with that, I will go ahead and start our presentation. Okay, so what is a budget? A budget means the same thing that it means to a person and it means to a household. For a municipality like Menifee, for us, a budget is a plan. It's specifically a plan of revenues and expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year. It captures what we intend to do in these 12 months, but beyond that, it connects us to our 5-year vision, our strategic plan. As a city of just over 102,000 people that continues to grow, we know our residents have a vision of what our community is and what it will be, and it's a positive vision. For us, the vision of Menifee is that it is a thriving and premier place to be. And that in that context, as we build the year-to-year budget plan, we develop programs and services that really fold not only into those 12 months, but the upcoming 5-year plan. And before I move on to the next slide, I do just kind of want to stress a little bit on revenues and expenses. So unlike a private business, we don't sell goods per se, but we need money so that we can pay the expenses and the services that we provide. So for us, what are revenues to us? Really, they come in a number of different forms, and each of them are important and integral to us being able to support and provide services in the community. But our main tax, our main property taxes, our main basis come from property taxes and sales tax. So for us, for example, anytime any resident or any visitor to our community buys locally and invests in our community, it's an investment to that business, but also an investment in the services and infrastructure of our community. As far as expenses, we fund a number of services and programs, and also the development and rehabilitation and expansion of our critical infrastructure. That's roads, facilities, recreation facilities, and our municipal sites. So fiscal year, we don't operate on a January to December date. Our kind of Happy New Year happens every July 1st when we launch the beginning of our new fiscal year. So This slide illustrates kind of some of the main components that go into the annual budget process in itself. And this is an illustration of everything from the development to the actual implementation. So every annual budget cycle, is unique and has different components of it, but we do follow this traditional component of going through the budget development process, which is where we are at today. Our budget workshops that will be coming in the upcoming weeks, the budget adoption, which will be coming in June, and then the budget implementation that follows that 12-month process. And then at the halfway point, we do an overall comprehensive budget evaluation and mid-year review to see if there's any adjustments that we need to look at, and also in preparation for the upcoming budget cycle. Illustrated in the context of a timeline, this slide will illustrate our current budget process beginning in January, and with the workshops and coming through in these upcoming days. And this particular slide, anywhere where you see a little icon, is an opportunity for our community and for anybody in the public that may be interested in coming and joining us to participate. So the plan is to provide services and programs and activities. So when it comes to Menifee, and like any other city, we are similar in many ways, and then we're also unique and special in our own way. One big thing we want to stress and highlight is, as a city, Menifee doesn't operate as a full service city. So what does that mean? There are services that we do provide, and then there are other services that are provided by other public entities, and then there are some services where we directly partner with other entities to provide those. So for us, under our direct purview of responsibility is public safety. There are things like law enforcement, fire, and code enforcement. We have all our parks and recreation, economic development, building and safety, code enforcement, community development, land development, our city clerk's offices, and our public works. And supporting those, we have our support internal departments such as human resources, finance, and our executive department that provides the support for all the services to be delivered. Some of the key services that are provided to our community that are done in collaboration and in partnership with some of our other public entities that we work with is the City of Murrieta, in which case we contract for dispatch services. We also partner with the Animal Friends of the Valley for animal field services, and then with CAL FIRE and the County of Riverside for fire services. What services does the city not directly provide, but are provided within our community, are things like water and sewer. These are provided by Eastern Municipal Water District, or EMWD. We have school services that are provided by various different school districts. We have 3 total K through 12 school districts within our boundaries, and we also have Mount San Jacinto College, which has come to be a true partner with the city as we continue to expand some of our municipal services. As far as transportation services, one of our main providers is RTA, and then public health and social services are generally provided under the purview of the County of Riverside. So going to the general budget and what makes up a budget in itself. It really can be kind of summarized in the big picture as 2 main things. You have your operating budget, and then you have your capital or CIP budget. Both of them are approved together and simultaneously, but both address different things. The operating budget funds the city's daily business, program, services, and capital outlays and equipment. The capital CIP budget is more focused on long-term improvements like facility and roads and street improvements. In the development of the budget itself, there's a number of things that go into that. There's an economic outlook analysis, there's revenue analysis to make sure we have the money to be able to fund the services that are proposed. There's also an analysis of the expenditures themselves. Are they reasonable? Are they sustainable? We look at the CIP program as a whole. We look at personnel and staffing, and then we make sure, and it is integral to us, that we include workshops and community input in the development of that budget. Key factors of the operating budget are summarized as things like personnel. We need the bodies to be able to provide the services that the city delivers to its residents. As of this year's mid-year, we stand as a workforce of 302.65 employees, and that covers all types of staff, ranging from your law enforcement police officers to your street maintenance workers to the staff that works here at City Hall to keep the city running day to day. We also have our operating and maintenance expenses and capital outlays. When it comes to the CIP budget, the process in itself reviews a comprehensive review of our current CIP program. The city has, similar to our strategic plan, a 5-year CIP program that kind of lays out what the large infrastructure project programs are going to look like for the upcoming 5 years, and we kind of chip away year by year on making that one come to be. So we review the current status of existing CIP projects, we review the current funding availability, and we update CIP prioritizations as is necessary. So as we start embarking, and we are well on way, the departments are furiously working on putting together their department requests for the upcoming year and really identifying what are the needs of our community. These next 2 slides really stress the upcoming workshops. They are color-coded kind of by the topic of the particular component of the budget. So the first 2 that will be held, starting with April 6th, relate to our CIP program. That is an opportunity for the city to present what the proposed kind of infrastructure, facilities, streets will look like for the upcoming 12 months and to collect input from the public. Following that, we will have a secondary workshop to take any of that input that has been received and update the proposed program if necessary. And then on April 26th, as one of the main sources of the city's just general revenue sources is our quality of life measure DD that was passed by voters in November of 2016. This is used to fund public safety as well as infrastructure, and in the city's commitment to maintain transparency with its residents, we regularly provide all funding recommendations related to the quality of life measure to the Measure DD committee before it is presented for council for adoption. So this year's quality of life meeting will be held on April 26th, and again, it is a public meeting. Welcome for anybody in the public who may wish to join us. As we move into the later into the spring, on May 4th will be the comprehensive workshop for the proposed 22-23 budget, and then on June 1st we will have the adoption of the budget. The fiscal year will start on July 1st, and then again at the halfway point, sometime between February and March of 2023, we will be coming back and providing a comprehensive workshop for the public and for our council, reporting on the expenditures and revenues to date, as well as kind of the accomplishments of the city that have been done at that point in time. And so that leads me kind of in the general umbrella and the message of this, of what we want anybody who is joining us today is the importance of transparency to us in the community, as staff, and that's Menifee Open. In 2021, the city launched our transparency portal, and what it does is a way for us to connect with the community when it comes to our regular kind of budget reporting. When we come on June 1st, we will adopt a budget with a budget book that summarizes in pretty lengthy detail what the upcoming budget is going to look like. But OpenGov does a little bit more and takes in the next step, that it's interactive and it allows for you to see the budget as it is progressing throughout the year. So I'm sitting, if here, so unfortunately I don't think I'll be able to hit the link, but no, it doesn't work. But once you click in there, you are able to see our adopted budget or amended budget prior years, and you are able to drill down to just get individual detail on our expenditures and on our revenues. And we have focus sections on our quality of life measure as well as our CIP program. So that concludes my presentation on our budget process. If anybody has any questions specific to the budget process, we'd be happy to answer those. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Margarita. You may want to reserve your questions, but we didn't want to go through the process of showing you numbers because that's going to be part of the workshops you are welcome to attend with our city council. We wanted to basically touch on what goes into the budget and the mystery. A lot of people come up to me and ask me, how does the city make money? And you know, we're not a business, we're a government. So we heavily rely on property taxes and sales tax, which is the reason why we spend a lot of time and energy telling people to shop local. Because when you shop local, your dollars stay in your town. And when your dollars stay in your town, we capitalize on that and invest it back into our community. And then the property taxes that you pay for your home, there's a percentage of that stays here in the city. Not all of it stays, not all of it comes back to the city. I think the latest figure is about 12% of what you pay in property taxes come back to the city, and we utilize that money to give back services to the community. Primarily, over 50 to 55% of our revenues, most of our revenues go to public safety. Police and fire department, our city council has been very supportive of making sure that we have a safe community, so we are continuing to pursue funding of additional police officers and fire personnel. So, and then the rest of it goes towards personnel as a whole to be able to provide services throughout the city. And then a big chunk of the revenues go to the CIP. I was realizing that not too many people know the acronym, right? The CIP, what that CIP means. It's the Capital Improvement Program, which is the monies that are spent to be able to improve infrastructure. Thank you for that. Improve infrastructure. And in our city, we spend a lot of money on transportation-related infrastructure, streets, bridges, and traffic signals, restriping, and things like that. Our city council has been very bullish about making sure that we continue to invest a big portion of our revenue back to infrastructure. So we spend a great deal of time planning for that. And as the budget allows and as our budget grows, we're going to continue to put more money into investing in infrastructure so that we can deal with probably the number one question everybody has is, why do we have so much traffic? Well, there's things that contribute to that. Primarily, our city growth, but mostly the region as a whole is growing, and everybody goes through here. So, fortunately, we have funding sources from outside that helps us deal with traffic. But then we have to spend a little bit of our local money here making our roads safer. So, so those are the basic elements of the budget. Like I said, we're going to try to include more opportunities for the public to weigh in on what should go into the budget. We encourage you to look at those dates. I think we're going to make these available to you. These are some dates with some of the meetings that we will be having workshops with the council so that you can weigh in. I think the council will be very, very receptive to hearing from the community about the community needs, not just infrastructure, but other needs, parks, community services. And before I conclude, I just want to mention we are joined by our mayor today. He was very interested in hearing about that, so welcome, Mayor, and thank you for being here. Our mayor has expressed to me many times that he wishes more people would get more involved in the budget process and in the process of formulating work plans. And so anyways, that's the reason why we're having so many meetings like this, so that we can be more approachable. You can get to know me and our staff, and you can have direct contact with all the staff members here at City Hall, so that when something comes up in your communities and your neighborhoods, you can let us know and we can fix it. So with that, I'll stop talking and then I'll allow you guys to ask some questions. So feel free to ask questions. Mayor, do you want to say a couple of words?
I do want to just follow up on what he just said. It is great to see people who live here. I mean, who better than to make decisions and help us guide decisions than the people who live here. So thank you guys for being here, and we welcome ideas and thoughts and encouragement. And you know what? We have a council meeting first and third Wednesdays. You're always welcome to come and share thoughts and take a look at what's on our agenda. And if there's something that's there that's interesting to you, we always welcome you to be there. I know June's been attending our council meetings, and so you're all welcome. So thank you.
Is it possible to come in and get a hard copy of the existing budget, and so that we have something to work from? Just come into the...
We can make one available for you.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
And if I can say that if you're interested in looking at the city's budget, we also have it posted on our website.
Right.
If you go to our website and click on Finance Department, it's the first thing that pops up. Click on the image itself, and you'll download the entire award-winning budget.
Okay.
Question?
Thank you. I'm a fairly new resident to Menifee. So you mentioned as the revenues grow, expanding services. What is the plan to grow those revenues in the future?
That's a very good question. We for the last 4 years, our budget and revenue has been expanding, and it's not by itself. We've been doing a lot of things to grow our businesses, to grow our ability to grow more money so that we can provide services. One of the initiatives that we continue to push is economic development. As you can see, the more stores we bring to the community with our developer partners, the more likely you will shop local, and those dollars will stay here. We realized about 5 years ago that we had about an $800 million leakage in our city, meaning that most of our residents would go to another city to shop, and the dollars will stay in those cities, primarily down cities to the south. And no fault of their own. We just didn't have those stores here in town. So over the last 5 years, we've been working really hard with our brokers, with our developers, to bring more of those restaurants, more stores, more places to shop here in Menifee, so that you don't have to drive to another city to buy goods. You can buy them here. So that has worked really good for us, because we have been able to bring more stores, and people are actually more receptive to shopping local, and our revenues are growing. We intend to continue to do that. We're not stopping there. There's a lot of other stores that we're working on. Our economic development director spends a lot of time meeting with brokers, and we go to a shopping center convention every year to make sure that we meet with those shopping centers, so that we try to bring them here. It's sort of a proactive approach, so that those businesses that are looking for places to be, they know we're here. You'd be amazed how many people don't know where Menifee is, and we have to constantly remind them about the opportunities that we have here in our beautiful city. So every year we're very successful. We have a lineup, and I almost want to invite our economic development director to share some of those new businesses that we're working on that are going to be here. You want to share some of those, maybe without breaking confidential?
Thank you, Armando. Good afternoon, Gina Gonzalez, Economic Development. Very excited to share that, as the city manager is mentioning, we do proactively go after and encourage local shopping here, such as ICSC we do twice a year, and we also go to the Site Selectors Guild Conference also for industry to come to our community. But we are actively pursuing places for us to shop, places for us to dine, that nightlife that everybody's clamoring for, entertainment, diverse food choices. And there was a segment where we were really going after that. We finally started to get Korean barbecue, a couple Thai restaurants, starting to see that kind of stuff pop up. But just know that behind the scenes, the team is working really hard to bring all the things. I live here too, so my whole family's here. I know exactly what everybody's asking for. So we've been working around the clock for that. And just know that there's things that are happening that's coming up that haven't been able to be announced yet, but it just takes time for it to go through the process and then to the point where it can be announced. But there are some great things that are being worked on, such as hospitality as well, talking about hotels, all kinds of stuff that is happening behind the scenes. You just don't see it yet, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. And then that's the shopping center portion of that. One of the other things that we are heavily working on is to create more jobs to our city. We realize that more than 80% of our residents travel outside the city to go work somewhere else. And when they do that, they spend their money somewhere else. So we have been really bullish about creating a jobs blueprint. I think our city council adopted a jobs blueprint about a month ago, And one of the areas that we're going to focus on is healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and IT. And those are high-paying jobs. So we're working really hard to make sure that we bring those job fountains to our city so that we have not only local shopping, but local jobs, so that more dollars can stay in our town. And the more dollars stay in our town, the more money we have to provide better services. Our budget has been healthy. I think for the last 5 years, we went from a $60 million budget to about a $100 million budget. So it's getting a lot better, and it's because of the efforts that our staff is making to improve our economic condition. Good question. Thank you for asking it.
I can do that. I don't need that. They won't be able to hear you. Oh, gosh. Good afternoon. My name is Rich, and this is my wife, Mary Ellen. We're fairly new to this area, about 5 or 6 years, and this is our first time ever coming to one of these type of events. I have several questions, if you don't mind if I go over, that some of you already has been reviewed, particularly one that you talk about on the restaurants and stuff like that, because I'm concerned about we only have 4 now. We used to have 3. Now we have Olive Garden. But I'm looking to see more upscale restaurants in this area, because 90% of the time we drive to Murrieta or Temecula and I leave my tax dollars over there. And that concerns me here, is that I'm looking for us to increase, so much the restaurant industry to be here. My other question, if you don't mind, if I have the time, I don't mean to take up the whole lot. You already gone over what the overall plan for Menifee was, so we'll just bypass that. With the housing boom coming around here now, I'd like to know what is the traffic plan going to be so that we don't end up looking like Temecula with traffic jams everywhere, which is happening now going down Newport and Newport Road, McCall, and some other places. I'll just briefly go over and then any of you kick in. We already talked. What I'd like to know is why, which we have never had an answer, is why do we pay into the Paris School District and Romaland? I guess Romaland is part of Menifee now. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. And are more schools going to be built to accommodate the housing boom that you're allowing to happen here? And to the young lady over there, has there been an active process to bring in Costco or a Sam's Club instead of having them down the road here? And I'm going over to Sam's and Costco and Murrieta and Temecula. And then the other one is, with the housing boom, being retired fireman, I'm concerned about, are they going to mitigate with these housing developments some more firehouses and increase the police department to cover all this area? Because that's very important. And overall, that's about it, because you did cover, I just am over the taxes. You asked. She asked me to ask about taxes. Is there going to be property taxes, increases on property taxes? When we first came here, we did vote for DDD. I had an advocate next door to me who was seriously against that, and I was for it. Because I've figured that Temecula is the same, and Murrieta, and now somebody else is why let's join the group. So that's all I have. Well, thank you for your time.
So those are very good questions. I feel like you're throwing us some soft pitches because we have some really good answers for you. But we're going to allow each of our staff members to answer that. I think, Nick, do you want to take the traffic one and all the projects that you have in line?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Villa. We do have, as he had mentioned, we have a pretty aggressive capital improvement program where we have almost a $500 million worth of projects, 131 of them total, with 80% of them being focused on transportation. So we do have a really robust program to improve transportation within our area. We are currently working on Holland Road overcrossing, which will alleviate a lot of traffic on Newport, because a lot of the traffic is now having to go up to Newport to get over on the other side of I-215. So that will help bridge that gap from the east to the west. And that project is anticipated to go out to construction this summer. So we look to be actually into construction activities August, September of this year. Also, in regards to major transportation projects, we are working on McCall Avenue, doing a widening of that interchange at I-215, which will increase the capacity over the interchange and access to and from the state route I-215. With additional widening on McCall to the east, near Oakhurst to Menifee, we're adding additional lanes in that area to provide 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. On the east side of town, we're working on a widening project at Valley Boulevard, which would extend or improve Valley Boulevard from basically Ethonac to Murrieta. It'll sweep in and tie into Murrieta just north of Salt Creek. So we're in the preliminary design phases of that project, environmental and right-of-way. And then lastly, one of the major infrastructure projects we're working on is a new interchange at Garbani Road. That one is in the very preliminary stages. We're in our project initiation document phase. So that's a few years out, but again, we are trying to be proactive with all the development that is occurring. We are the fifth fastest growing community in the state. So that's why we've taken a hard line on being really going after transportation projects. That's what the city's doing. But as we look at developers, we're also requiring development to make roadway improvements adjacent to and around their communities as they build. So they will install additional traffic signals. They'll widen the roadways adjacent to them. Any off-site improvements based off of traffic impact analysis studies that they perform, they're required to make those improvements to alleviate any congestion or mitigate some of the traffic impacts that they create as part of that development. So again, we're trying to be proactive. We got a late start. We're a young city, and we're trying to really catch up some ground here fast.
So I just want to mention that we have a good city planning team, engineering team that is always making sure that every project that is approved is mitigating their traffic impacts. And we are very involved with the regional agencies, the Riverside County Transportation Commission, WRCOG, and making sure that dollars come back to our city so that we can improve our road system. So we're very engaged, and we realize that the number one issue with growth is going to be traffic. So we're trying to stay in front of it. So we're spending a lot of time, like you heard, we have $500 million worth of projects that we need to build and deliver. Obviously, you cannot do that. Even if you have all the money today, we couldn't do that today. So we need to phase it in over the next 5 years. So good question. I'm sorry, your other question was, because of growth, are we making plans to expand firehouses? And I think Chief Olson can take that question.
Yeah, so we worked very closely with the Public Works team, and Fire Station 5 is going to be rebuilt, and they'll have a brand new fire station. We're also in the process of going through a study to look at where the best spot is, because that's like a 50-year investment, right? So we don't just want to... Station 5, I'm sorry, Quail Valley. So the Quail Valley Fire Station, they're rebuilding a brand new one. Quail Valley off of Getz, yeah. To the west. Yes, that one's a fairly new fire station.
I used to work as a volunteer years ago with Riverside County, so I'm kind of familiar with some of the stuff. So the one down Simpson Road, is that Is that a Winchester firehouse or?
On Simpson Road?
Well, it's in, you get down Simpson and then across Winchester, I forget where
Oh, okay. That is the Winchester Fire Station. That is a county fire station, but we are a part of, when they talked about contract services. So Riverside County, CAL FIRE, and Menifee are all one fire department.
Are they part of the battalion?
They are not a part of our battalion. They're a part of what we would call the HIMMET battalion, but it's all closest resource. So they do come in and service the city all the time. That's also where our hazmat team is located. So our hazmat team is located at that Winchester Fire Station. So brand new Station 5 coming soon. We're also in the process of going through plans to remodel our Station 68 off of Marietta Road, and we're looking and evaluating sites for a long-term plan. What does it look like as all of this development and growth comes in? Where's the best place to put that? And those are like 50-year investments. We want to make sure they're in a spot that services the community now and for the next 50 years.
You gonna put another truck down in there?
Looking at what the best, so, and we look at our trucks as the city of Menifee does own one, but it's a regional model. What's the best place to put everything so that the costs are shared across the best through.
That's why I was just concerned is, the amount of response time is, with the firehouses spread out, down certain areas, and the response time getting in here, particularly, have a big event going on, and then, having to, get a first alarm, second alarm, third alarm, and something about many times you get these units in here. So I was just kind of concerned about that.
In total, in our fire department system, there are over 90 fire stations. So, and we share the resources back, and that's kind of the strength of the system, right? We don't need 90 fire engines in the city of Menifee right now, but when we need them, it's at the flip of a switch and we bring them. And then for staffing levels and dealing with the medical aids, we've brought on another squad with DD, and we're looking and evaluating at bringing on another medic squad to kind of filter those medical aids and keep some of our fire equipment more available and cut down on our response times.
That's a great idea.
And then you did have another question. I'm sorry, just I think 2 more questions to answer because we have really good responses. Chief Walsh, you want to talk to him about some of the additions that you're going to be making to the police department?
Sure. We just asked at the mid-year for 15 more positions. So we're going to add a lieutenant and some more traffic and some more detectives. Traffic is a big issue, really in any community, but it's a big issue here in Menifee. People still drive like it's a rural community and it's turning into a city. So we're working hard on that. So we're building out. I'm very pleased that the budget allows to add bodies so quickly. We had a 5-year plan. We've kind of gone past we were incrementally going to start adding, but we were already at our 3rd year in our 2nd year. So we're really excited to get these new bodies. We have a lot of people applying. So we'll be able to have more patrol, more detectives, and more traffic, really important. And we're also doing a feasibility study for a building down the line too. That'll, like the chief said, that 30, 50-year plan when you build a building so that we don't have to do this often.
Is there any plans in the near future of upgrading hospitals on the call? Upgrading the medical services so that you don't have to go to Inland Valley, Loma Linda, and I don't know whatever else hospitals close by.
So that was that's a very complicated question because the hospital is not a publicly ran facility. We don't control it. It's a private venture, and it relies on their interest to expand. We do have plenty of hospitals in the area that are expanding. Unfortunately, this one is not. So we last couple of months, we've been in talks with the hospital personnel, the hospital administration, to see, try to understand what their needs are and try to understand to see what we can do to make sure that they continue to expand and provide services to the community. We are just at the beginning stages of understanding what those are, so I don't have a good response to you. And then the last question, you wanted to understand property taxes and was taxes going up? I think it's important to understand that the Measure DD quality of life tax is a fixed tax. It's, you only pay it when you buy something, so that's not going to go up. Property taxes, I mean, they have, what is that, an escalator of 1% a year? 2% a year, which is nominal. But we don't, the city does not intend to add another tax in the near future. We just don't feel like we need it. I think we've done enough to try to be sustainable, financially sustainable for the next few years. And some of the things that we're doing to grow our local economy, I think, are going to help us not have to raise taxes in the future. The school district taxes. Okay, so and then your last question was, why do you get tax on Romaland School District and Paris? Well, the Paris School District, actually, the boundaries of the district are in Menifee. So our kids go to the Paris School District. That's why you're paying some of the bond taxes on that, because they operate two high schools in our city, the Paloma Wash and the Heritage. Yeah, sorry about that. So, and they do operate another high school. It's not in the city, but it's close to the city, which is a new high school on Briggs Road. So that's why you pay bond taxes on that. And the same with Romaland. Romaland is a smaller school district that runs elementary school districts in the Romaland area. So, very good questions. Thank you for asking them. I think, yeah. And then that gentleman over here had questions.
My name's Cliff Lands. I've been living in Menifee, Sun City, for about over 6 years now. Over 20% of the population are 55 plus. I'm 70 myself, and I'll be honest with you, I'm very depressed most of the time because there's not much to offer somebody my age. I'm out every day with my e-bike. That's another suggestion. We should promote bicycle riding, have more safe areas for that. We have a multicultural fair thing coming up this Saturday. I think they could do more to promote that by having signs at the park. I'd like to get more involved in having events on a weekly basis, or at least twice a month. I think that the excitement around here is when people go to in and out, after the dark, when it gets dark. That's the big excitement, because there's nothing in the Menifee area. Pretty much, I mean, you have to maybe go to Lake Elsinore. They got a bowling alley, but we don't have any activity places to do things. It's just pretty much food. I don't think we need another restaurant personally. There's enough restaurants, because then you take away from the small mom and pop restaurants. If you get these big chains coming in. And that's pretty much it. I just think we need to consider doing more for the seniors and having more activities for families and promoting the activities that you have. And even if it means some of the events, you can have a nominal fee charged for certain things to get more revenue in, just so you can have more events. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So some of the questions, I don't know, Jonathan, you want to chime in on some of the questions? We do have a senior center, and we do have a senior center advisory group that takes in recommendations. You want to mention some of those programs that they're offering?
Sure, Armando. Yeah, we do have the Multicultural Festival. There is a sign right on Newport. I just passed it on the way here. Oh, well, it's on Newport, so you can turn into the park. So in the park today, nobody knew about the event. Okay. There were a lot of people in there. Very well noted. We'll make sure we promote that a little more. And we do have events coming up. We have 3 events on Saturdays. In April, we have a spring festival. We're doing a grand opening for the Paloma Wash. We're doing a grand opening for a new park on April 9th at Sunset Park. It's the last new park that we're building in Audie Murphy Ranch. There's also a volunteer opportunity on Saturday, April 23rd. And I'm going through this kind of fast, but a lot of this information is on our website of all the events we have going on. So there's our Menifee Better Together event. That's Saturday, April 23rd. So if you want to get involved, reinvest in the community, and volunteer to help out some of your fellow folks that need some home restoration, that's available. We work with the United Way and a lot of the churches to provide that volunteer opportunity. So we have a lot of events coming up. We do I think in April, May, June, July, we probably have an event almost every single weekend. We have concerts in the park coming up, moonlight markets. So there are a lot of things that the city is trying to do in the community to provide those things to do and places to engage and for people to get together. And as Mr. Villa mentioned, we do have a senior advisory committee meeting. You just missed it. It was on Tuesday, but they do normally meet here. It's the fourth Tuesday of every month. Here at 10 a.m. So if you have any issues with the services we provide or recommendations on other programs that we could look into for senior programming, please come on down and talk to our senior advisory committee.
The importance of talking to those groups is, as you know, we have a lot of seniors and they all want different things. So our city council has placed a lot of responsibility on them to funnel the requests from the senior community to create programs. Programs create funding, require funding, I'm sorry. And so we couldn't possibly be able to have programs for everybody. So we try to make sure that the requests for more programs are funneled through that department, through that advisory group, and then through the community services department so that we can have them. So that's important to be able to talk to that advisory group to make sure they weigh in on that. And then I want to just make sure that you're all aware that we publish once a quarter a magazine called Menifee Matters, and you should be getting it in your mail. We post just about every activity in there for the next 3 months. So if you're interested in knowing what activities that the city is going to be having, please take a look at that. If you don't get a copy delivered to your house, let us know, and we'll make sure that we add your address. We also try really hard to put a lot of that information on our webpage, and we also do a lot of social media on Facebook and our social media outlets to try to let people know about some of our activities. And we also work, Phil, our PIO, works really closely with most of our newspapers to make sure that we send information out so that they can publish those events on Menifee 24/7, for example. They do a really good job of publishing a lot of our articles. So we try to do our best to make sure that we get information out. Obviously, we don't want to plaster the whole city with signs all over the place because that would look messy. So there's limited things that we can do, but there's plenty to do this summer. Our community services department has gone out of the way to make sure that they create a lot of community programming, especially in the summer when we can do more things. And now that we have more parks, we're going to make sure that we put those parks to good use. You have a question over there? Can you wait for the mic, please? Yes.
My husband Rich has introduced us. I have a question. For 15 years, I worked in the banking industry at a bank right on McCall Boulevard. And at that time, the city of Sun City was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Everything was pristine. There was the restaurants, the banks, and so on and so forth. So it was really something to be proud of. Rich and I live in the Heritage Lake area here, but because I visualized what it used to be in Sun City, when I do happen to go over in that area, it's sad about the buildings and the upkeep. So I was just wondering, is it ever going to be back to the way that it was and be just a beautiful city rather than just a tremendous amount of businesses just kind of going down and not a lot of opportunities for the residents to actually live in that particular area.
So another good question. I think, we are doing things to work with the property owner, the shopping center, but one of the things that we have to realize is that the shopping center is old. It's over 60 years old. We are studying ways that we can improve the condition of that. Gina, you want to share some of the things that we've done with the property owners, and then Cheryl, you want to share some of the ULI findings? We have studied that area to see if we can do something to improve the condition of that.
And part of the issue is there's about 20 different owners in that one center. And so to get them all functioning in the same direction has been very difficult. But there are some mom and pops ownership there that is very motivated into creating some type of business improvement district. But it is taking some time because there wasn't enough support with some of the other ownership, because you do need a majority to create a district like that to improve it. So it's just going to be a matter of time for us and education to convince the other ones to jump on board. But we have studied that. We've done visionings of what could happen there, ways to be creative about it. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get there. But most recently, we have been pushing through ICSC as well, new ownership for a good chunk of that retail center. And most recently, as of last year, it was just bought under new ownership, and they are trying to work with the city to revitalize a portion of it to jumpstart some of the facade enhancements that you're talking about. But then I'll let Cheryl, my colleague here, weigh in on ULI and another mechanism to revitalize that area.
Certainly. So the city partnered with the Urban Land Institute recently and brought in a panel of experts to look at opportunities for the Sun City area of Menifee, and particularly that Cherry Hills Plaza, what types of investment the city can encourage, and working with the property owners, streetscape beautification opportunities to work with the Sun City Civic Association on programming, opportunities to bring more activities or open space amenities to Sun City. So it is an area that is a focus for us. And I think as time goes by and we're able to work with the other property owners there, looking at the golf course ownership, working and partnering with them, we'll be able to see some reinvestment in that community.
I'd also like to add that most recently too, with the Coco's on the corner, we were able to encourage, and it did take quite some time, took about a year, believe it or not, to get Black Bear Diner to recently go into that center, and they're making some improvements to the facade, close to $1 million, because it hasn't been touched since the 60s and 70s. And so that is not an easy feat, my friends, to get somebody to invest that kind of money in the area and convince them. So there is a lot of work by this team here to get stuff like that turned over.
There's a new coffee shop there, really nice, always Joyful Noise. I've been in there several times. They got great coffee. I'm not enough Joyful Noise. Unplug them. Nice people, family-owned.
Lavender lattes.
So thank you for the question, but the city is paying attention to that shopping center, and we're trying to find out what we can do to make sure that we revitalize it, to encourage the property owners to do some more. Obviously, there's because it is a private venture, we have to allow that to take place. The tools that existed in the past, like redevelopment, are no longer available to us for us to help them out, but we are doing things to make sure that we help them out with technical expertise, technical knowledge, more studies, and we're encouraging a lot of attention to that. I mean, like Gina mentioned, we were able to get Black Bear Diner to go in there. So we're paying attention, and we're going to try to continue. We're going to try to continue to work with them to revitalize that area. We realize that if we do nothing, it's just going to continue to decline.
And they've closed them all over. It's one of their models they're trying to reduce, and I know. And it actually has contributed to their workforce. They're having difficulty, just like every other bank and every other place, with the workforce and revitalizing that.
So we're coming up to an hour, and I think we have about 3 or 4 questions that have been asked via YouTube, but I'll let these 2 questions be asked, and then we'll go to the 4 questions. Go ahead. Can you give them a mic? Yes.
Okay, along that same vein, as far as Sun City, I don't live in Sun City, but I live right north of Chambers, right there, so I'm right on the edge. When I go driving by the intersection of Sun City and McCall, okay, that area, there's an awful lot of weeds and things growing up in that island right in there. It just makes it look so junky, and I'm wondering whose responsibility is that to be upkeeping that? Is that the HOA of Sun City? I'm new to the city. I've only been here for about 15 months, so I'm just trying to learn how things are done here. So who is it that's supposed to be maintaining those areas that are out there in this general population?
We'll look into that issue and correct it.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty bad. Also, I wanted to know, I wanted to get a map of the city so I could learn my way around. When I went into the Chamber of Commerce a few months ago, those maps are like 10 years old at least. And so it really wasn't of much use at all. So when are you guys going to update your maps so I can...
So the Chamber of Commerce back then, they've gone through some changes, and typically the Chamber leads the effort on the map production. And since they've gone through some leadership changes, that's what you're experiencing. But I'm proud to announce that they're currently working on a map as we speak and looking for advertisement for that map right now.
Okay, so I can expect a new map, what?
I'm not,
6
don't quote
months,
me,
or-
it's not my project, but
okay.
they're currently doing it, and I know that it's going to be hot off the press very soon.
Okay, okay.
So it's good news.
Okay, now to another thing, I am signed up to get notification from the city about all these things. And when I get notifications about construction that's going on around the city, they mention intersections. I don't have a map that I can pinpoint where that is. And I have requested that they start showing like a little map or something when they send out notification that shows exactly where is this located within the city. So I know where I can avoid. And they did it, I think, once after I mentioned it, and then I never saw it again. So when they say it's on the corner of so-and-so, I'm like, I have no idea where that is. And heaven help me if I end up in the middle of that intersection sometime. Okay. And as far as...
Can I just give you a quick answer to that question?
Yes.
Sorry.
No.
So for projects like all of our public works, road construction and things like that, those maps, locations are available on our website, and you can also print those out if you'd like to do that.
So there's a map visually, I can see
Yes.
where that construction... Okay, so if I go to the City of Menifee...
The City of Menifee, cityofmenifee.us.
Okay, and there's something that says, what do I click on?
I don't have it memorized off the top of my head, but if we can capture the name and address, I'll make sure I get that to you.
Okay, okay.
If he logs on, the next door neighbor should be able to get it too, because that's where I get all.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were mentioning the widening of McCall over on the west side of the 215, right? Now,
On the east side, actually, we have 2 projects.
on the east side, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, on the east side. Now, it was my understanding there's supposed to be a Walmart going in there, is that correct? Or no? Was it, I heard some kind of rumor about a Walmart going in.
There are 2 Walmarts that they currently own the sites for. One is at the corner of Encanto and McCall, and the other one is Scott and Hahn.
So they
Correct.
just own the property?
But currently, Walmart has changed their business plan, and this is one of the things that we're constantly working at ICSC again, talking to our retailers, and Walmart has recently changed their overall business model and plan. They're probably building less than 5 an entire year in the nation, where they used to be dumping about 35 to 40 of them a year. So it's completely changed. Everybody's shopping habits have changed. Everybody's shopping online, and so they're really concentrating on online sales, just just like Home Depot, believe it or not. So that's really depicted their business model and how fast they're moving. So yes, properties they own, properties are on their list. Where it falls in the queue, we do not know.
So the widening then of that area, that's mainly to alleviate some of the traffic congestion of getting onto the freeway coming from that direction, is that?
So again, there's two different projects. One is the interchange at I-215 and McCall, basically between Bradley and Encanto. So that'll widen out that whole section. And then we have another project that is from Oakhurst, which is the driveway to the hospital facility there, all the way out to Menifee. That project is to facilitate some of the development that is occurring out there in the eastern part of the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we're going to need to wrap up shortly. We're going to take one more question from those that are here, and then we'll do our electronic remote questions.
Yes, I want to go back to the leakage that you talked about. I think you said it was 800 million. Is there a strategy or plan to combat that by bringing more visitors here to spend their money?
That's a multi-pronged strategy, and it actually ties right into our comprehensive economic development strategy. We're actually one of the only cities in Southwest Riverside County with that plan. That was also given a letter of excellence from the federal EDA. And that also tied into, as Mr. Villa mentioned, our blueprint plan for job creation here. But in addition, out of that sets, one of it is tourism, so you're seeing the city start to work on tourism, drawing people here, creating activities like Foodie Friday, the ABCDE Festival. We're partnering with our partners to bring stuff. But then also, yes, there's an aggressive, robust economic development strategy that we're working on that's multi-pronged, that's from hospitality, to restaurants, to entertainment, to you name it, every single thing. So most communities are only working on one thing, sir. And our actual city is so aggressive on economic development that we have a team that's multi-pronged that's working on all these things simultaneously. And just so you know, no, I do not sleep. I am working when you guys are sleeping because I know what the needs are here. And we're invested. This team right here, Armando calls it the dream team, and I can attest to that as somebody that's on this. They are my partners in crime here to bring stuff to you. So yes, there is a plan, and it is big and what? What?
He said I'm not a criminal. I said he is.
But we are working multi-pronged to address that issue and keep the money here locally. Because I don't look at 800 million as the leakage. I look at it as 1.5. I go beyond that. I'm looking at 5 miles beyond our radius that we can capture and bring in here. I want other people's money here.
Good questions. I think we did have several questions from our YouTube feed.
We did. One of the questions I think was essentially answered. That was, is the police department here to stay? I think Chief Walsh addressed that, indicating that our council is supportive of expanding. We've added 15 new positions in the police department, which demonstrates the city's commitment. Do you have anything that you would add, Chief?
Yeah, that rumor's put to bed. We have a high tempo, highly motivated crew, and their morale is really high. So I'm super excited with the people I work with, and they love their job. So we're not going anywhere.
Beautiful. So we had another question as to why the city is only honoring Vietnam veterans. And I think Jonathan Nix from our community services will address this. We've got quite a few things that we offer to honor veterans of all of our service branches and all wars.
Yes, absolutely. The city council and this community is very proud of all of our veterans. We have veterans banners that line all the streets. So if you have anybody in your family that would like to be honored with a banner, please contact our city manager's office. There's also a veterans monument at Wheatfield Park. There are special bricks that are available there that you can dedicate a brick to a veteran as well. And we have 2 annual events. We are having a Memorial Day event, which is on Memorial Day. It's on May 30th this year. We do that every single year to honor all those who have served from Menifee and paid the ultimate sacrifice for everybody's freedom. So we do that every single year. And then on Veterans Day, on November 11th, on the day every year, we celebrate all of our Menifee veterans And the city council wanted to take this extra step this year to honor those Vietnam veterans. Mayor Pro Tem Dean Dinas really made a special effort to try to provide a welcome for those Vietnam veterans that didn't receive that when they returned home from Vietnam. So this is a special tribute that we're doing this year, but we do honor veterans every single year with those other programs.
So last question is, what is happening with the theater?
I'm happy to take it. So yes, so as far as the theater goes, as you know, I'm not going to go over this again and again, but as you know, he was affected by COVID. He was not alone in that issue across the nation, as we all know. And in addition, the movie scene is not really producing movies until recently. So would you invest $30 million and build as a bank if you knew that nobody's producing movies? So just recently they started to release, and they're having some really good showings. So as they continue to go in the direction that they have been, it's very positive. But he has recently submitted modifications to the architectural drawings and working on engineering drawings for the theater to get it going again. As far as when that submittal, that is a process that it takes. I wish we could snap our fingers and everybody was submitting in 24 hours or less. Just doesn't happen that way. But he is in communication with the team here and working on his plans, you guys. But things are progressively getting better in the right direction to be in the ground and us sitting in a recliner soon.
So that concludes today's discussion. We are thrilled to have all of you here that are in person, as well as those that are joining us via our YouTube channel. I think these are meaningful opportunities to have a discussion with you, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.